Your brain isn't failing you, it's hitting a throughput limit. When everything feels urgent and your attention shatters in minutes, the problem isn't motivation, it's architecture. The system is overloaded and the fixes are technical, not mystical. Time is inventory, but energy is electricity. You can have 8 empty hours on the calendar and still get nothing done if the power to run thinking, deciding, and remembering keeps browning out. Today you'll manage the power draw so the same minutes yield more finished work with less strain. Working memory is tiny and expensive. It can juggle only a few elements at once, and it burns energy every time you swap what's on the mental stage. Dopamine helps you initiate and persist when a task promises a near reward. Noradrenaline raises alerting, so signals stand out from noise. Acetylcholine sharpens focus on the chosen target. When you throw in frequent context switches, unclear next steps, and delayed payoffs, you drain these systems fast. Cognitive load theory separates the burden into intrinsic load, which is the built-in complexity of the task, extraneous load, which is friction from poor instructions, messy interfaces, and distracting environments, and germane load, which is the useful effort that builds structure in memory, so work becomes cheaper next time. You cannot wish intrinsic load away, but you can strip extraneous load aggressively and reallocate that power to germane effort. So progress compounds. You do not need to become a better multitasker. You need to stop paying the switch tax. Multitasking isn't a skill gap. It's a physics constraint. The brain serializes most conscious work, and each switch flushes context that then has to be rebuilt. Longer sessions are not automatically better. Session quality is produced by clarity and immediate feedback, not raw duration. And you do not have to sterilize your world before you begin. You begin, then you prune whatever blocks the next tiny step. Action generates the dopamine signal that keeps you moving. The evidence is dull and decisive. In complex learning tasks, groups that study worked examples and then gradually fade the scaffolds outperform groups thrown straight into unguided problem hunting. This result, reported repeatedly in research associated with John Sweller and colleagues, occurs because examples reduce extraneous load and free capacity to form schemas that later support flexible performance. In attention research, brief interruptions degrade accuracy and inflate completion time because reloading context is costly. Laboratory and field studies on task interruption show measurable slowdowns even when the detour lasts only seconds, with heavier penalties as complexity rises. You don't need a bibliography to use the principle. You need a setup that lowers novelty, lowers surprise, and keeps context resident long enough to reach a clean finish. Now the levers. Lower the energy needed to begin, then bundle the context so switching becomes rare. To reduce start friction, make the first move so small you can do it before you can object. Open the exact file, write a one-sentence outcome at the top, and type the next 2 concrete lines you will produce. The brain favors momentum. When dopamine sees a path to a near reward, initiation costs drop. To bundle context, stack adjacent tasks that use the same mental gear. If you are drafting, keep drafting. If you are reviewing, keep reviewing. Mixing writing, research, and formatting inside one block multiplies load because each mode asks for different rules and different cues. You want one set of cues on stage so acetylcholine can stabilize the spotlight and noradrenaline doesn't spike and crash from constant alarms. Run this 20-minute protocol today. Set a timer for 20 minutes and choose one task with a visible finish line, such as completing the first section of a document to a 2-sentence acceptance criterion you can check immediately. Before the timer starts, place the needed materials on screen. Close anything that cannot serve the next step, and type a 1-line headline that states the outcome in plain language. Press start and move the cursor with your hands on the keys while you whisper the first active verb in your head to cut hesitation. Keep attention on the screen and on the next single sentence until the timer rings. When it rings, add a visible completion mark at the top of the file, such as Section 1, Done, Version 1, with today's date. Then give yourself a small, fast reward, like standing up for a sip of water and a glance out the window. The mark matters because it converts effort into a finished unit your brain recognizes, and the tiny reward closes the loop, so initiation is easier in the next block. To make the protocol work on harder projects, shift load from chaos into structure while you stay inside one mode. Reduce intrinsic load by chunking the work into repeatable units you can rehearse, like a 5-sentence outline you trust for this deliverable. Reduce extraneous load by standardizing tools and killing needless novelty. One template for notes, one naming scheme for files, one place where drafts live. Increase germane load by writing, at the end of each block, one rule you just discovered that will save you time next round, and pinning it at the top of the document. This keeps what you already paid for and turns it into skill. Clarity beats willpower. At the start of a session, define success in a way you can see on the screen. Make progress on the report is mushy and expensive. Write the opening paragraph that states the problem, the promise, and the one metric we will move is concrete. When your brain knows what to produce, acetylcholine shapes a stable spotlight, and noradrenaline holds alertness without overfiring. If you catch yourself stalling, you probably loaded the stage with ambiguity. Rewrite the target sentence in blunt language and begin with the ugly version. A rough first pass is still a finished unit, and finished units are the currency of momentum. 1-week experiment. For 7 days, run 2 20-minute blocks, back to back in the morning, before opening anything reactive. Each day, use the same template with a top-line acceptance criterion and the same visible completion mark. Track 2 numbers only: units finished and number of context switches inside a block. On day 7, review the totals and choose one change to your setup that cut the most extraneous load. Keep that change for the next week and discard one tool or habit that added noise. When overwhelm returns, assume nothing is wrong with you and everything is wrong with the setup. Shrink the target until it is crisp, remove one source of extraneous load, and recover a finish line you can see from where you sit. Then run the 20-minute sequence again. The second block is usually better than the first, because your brain now believes the finish is close and rewards are reliable. Momentum is the antidote to doubt, and structure is the antidote to overload. If this helped, keep it simple. Run one 20-minute block using the protocol, leave a visible finish mark in your file, and tell me in the comments which part of the setup cut the most friction. If you want deeper dives like this, subscribe and share it with one person who needs a cleaner way to think today.